Hi, everybody. Aaron Fisher here, and welcome to Conjuror Community's Afternoon Astonishment. Today, I am joined by the crew, Alex Slemmer, Steve Barcelona, and Mike Stevens. Little Ethan is back on the control board, and he's about to share with us some magic by Jim Steinmeyer, my pick for the wisest witch of our entire generation. If you haven't ever seen Jim Steinmeyer, you've seen his magic because he's created many of the greatest illusions of the last century. Earlier this year, he joined us to Conjuror Community for one of our Magic Masters Confidential two-part living room lectures. Actually, we invited him to kick off the series because, like I said, he's that special. And this is one of the very first tricks he shared. Check this out. You'll mind will be blown. This is immediate.
I don't want to do too much talking. I want to start out with something that is something you probably haven't seen. Boop. This is the overhead camera. Perfect.
I love it.
Before I get a bunch of people involved, Aaron, you're going to help me on this, okay?
Just yes, sir.
So I'm going to, I put these little cards down, and I'm going to put these like this, and I'm going to lay these out. You can see what's happening here.
Even the penmanship is wonderful.
It's just a bunch of numbers.
But they're very well written numbers.
We even commented on it.
And they're very nicely written numbers. And I'm going to lay them out in the grid. You get what's going on here, and I'll straighten out those two. And the most important part is not the numbers. The most important part is this piece of paper. What did I do with it? Oh, here it is. This piece of paper right here, which is labeled prediction. Because you've seen mind readers do that. And, let me tell you, they're not really reading your mind. Okay, I know it looks like they are, but they're just it's a different kind of trickery. And I'm going to show you exactly how that works. I'm going to show you what real mind reading, which is what they pretend to do, and this little twist where actually what they're doing is they're fooling you with numbers or with words or with your own perception. So I'll show you exactly what this is. I'll put this prediction somewhere so you can keep an eye on it. Aaron, you volunteered to help because this is the first trick we did. So Aaron, I want you to pick, there are rows and there are columns, and I want you to pick one of these in the first row. Tell me. Pick one.
I was unmuting.
Three. Okay, so 3. I'm going to take the other ones away so you don't change your mind. And I'm also going to use that to influence the column underneath it. I'm going to take those away so that your choices get limited as you keep going. Next row, 6, 7, 9, or 10. Which one?
Oof, 6.
Oh, that's a hard decision, Aaron, but you did it. Congratulations. And I'll remove the ones underneath 6 at the same time. So these get easier as you keep going. 12, 14, 15.
17. Oh, 15.
15, very good. And now you only get a choice between 17 and 19.
Come on. 17.
17, of course. And that leaves you with 24. Okay, so I'm going to put these together, which is 6. There they go. Put them all together like that, and we total them up.
Yeah.
And anyone want to be clever and tell me what that is?
23, 26, 47, 57, 67, 71.
No.
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 I was told there'd be no math.
65.
65? Oh, okay.
Bill's got it. So I say, here's the amazing thing about it, and this is what a mind reader does, is they make you think that I knew exactly what Aaron was going to select, and you'll see that I wrote that out. Aaron's number will total 65, which is a pretty good trick,
You gotta be shitting me.
No, and let me tell you, let me tell you what the problem with that trick is. Thank you for the applause. Let me tell you what the problem with the trick is.
Oh, we do ones here. There's so many ones.
You'll notice that there are different numbers that can be put together to total 65.
Okay.
So it looks like it was 5 out of 25, and there's only one combination that works. And of course, that's not true. I could have maneuvered you around to different ones. That's why I wrote it out this way, you see, Aaron's numbers will total 65. See how that works? But I knew exactly which ones Aaron was going to pick. I know that seems surprising. A, R, and I put the bottom one, O.
Oh man. Oh.
It's really good.
Didn't see
Man.
that one coming.
That whole book is really something else. I went and looked at the book again because I had missed that one. I totally missed that. Jim Steinmeyer wrote this great book on the magic of Alan Wakeling, and this is Alan Wakeling had this whole numbers act, and this was one of the featured tricks in this act, and that's a stunner, man. What a great great piece of magic. It's just offbeat, and there's a lot going for that thing. That's really
You're seeing that on a screen on a table, right? Because we're sitting in the living room with the greatest magic mind any of us ever, watching his magic on the David Copperfield specials growing up, Doug Henning. This is not a close-up house trick. You have to picture this on a giant easel in a big theater, and this is a trick that you can astonish an entire giant theater full of people with. This is Jim thinks in stage magic. He thinks in magic that can transmit to 1,000, 2,000 people at a time, with numbers. I mean, it's so clear. We were just talking about this the other day. A lot of us magicians, we start learning how to do close-up magic. But when you want to just perform magic for like a magic show, or even more than, say, 4 or 5 people at a time, magic changes entirely. Right. And it's very, very hard to find tricks that you can really astonish a big group of people with that you can actually do. Right. I mean, have you guys ever had a hard time finding magic you could actually do that would play to a big room of people?
Oh, it's a constant struggle. Yeah. I'm always on the lookout for material that checks all those boxes. I mean, it's a tough bill to fill. You're always on the lookout for new magic for that very reason, or I am, because it's very rare that someone comes up with a beautiful stage piece, and that's one of the things about Jim is that they're like, those things are just like jumping out of him. He's just a magical genius in that way. I've never seen anyone create so much beautiful stage magic that not only is it just great magic, but every piece is so different from the one that came before it. He just really a prolific guy. It's amazing. Just amazing, man.
I was going to say, just the addition of the name, right? Like if you think back, like the first thing I thought about the payoff here is it reminds me a lot of Female by Marlowe, right? Where it's actually the woman's name at the end, right? And I'm just thinking, man, this is exactly, you could apply that front end to this trick of acquiring the name and all that and have it pay off like this. It's such a direct, simple, easy to understand, and a strong finish. It's personal. It's the woman's name. I mean,
and it's kind of a card trick, but it doesn't really look like it's a
card
trick.
It's kind of a card trick. Yeah.
When Jim and Robert came and did, I guess it was our first two-part lecture of the year. It was an astonishing amount of material like this. Jim has released more books filled with really powerful magic. And it's not only is it really powerful, not only does it play really big, not only is it created by a person who has built magic to the custom specifications for the specific personas, some of the greatest magicians of our time, but it's all magic that you can like go out to Staples and buy some markers and a few big pieces of cardboard and just sort of have up and ready to go, and so people like us, we spent a long time, years and years and years, finding trick by trick the actual effects that we could get up on stage and take our personality and transmit it to a room full of people. And some of us are still looking to find those tricks. But if you got to be at that 2-part lecture, I think you saw enough of those tricks in 2 nights that you literally don't need to look further to have an entire act. Mike, were you at those things?
I was. And I love this one because it's, like Steve said, it's easy, it's direct, and it has this beautiful smoke screen built into it, right? So that sort of like kicker ending is just covered by all like the structure of the rest of the trick, which seems interesting all by itself. And yeah, it's an awesome one. Big or small.
It's got this incredible and important magic idea, this sort of fundamental precept of magic, which, you know, Tamarice in his books has called the magic way, but in the American sensibility, which is kind of folksy and simple, turn them down the garden path, bring them down the garden path, and then turn the hose on them. So he does this wonderful prediction that's impossible. And just when you're thinking, oh, that's impossible, Jim says, well, if you think about it, it's not really that impossible. And you're like, huh? And he's like, well, you know, think about how many ways you could have 5 different numbers and equal 65. And you're like, oh, maybe it is, but you know, you're like, and before you know it, you know, you say, oh, no. And that's really what magic's all about. It's that feeling that you get at the end of The Usual Suspects. Like, no, Kaiser Soze. You know, it's that experience that makes magic happen. And it's not so much about whether a lady floats or whether you accomplish the trick. It's that feeling of, no, how is that? How is this happening? And what's so lovely about magic is that since that's the idea, since that's the feeling, you don't have to make things float. You don't have to levitate things. You don't have to be David Blaine to make that happen. You just have to find effects that are designed to bring a person to that state, you know? And so I just think Steinmeyer is one of the very best people to learn magic from. The magic is some of the best magic you can learn. And if you're at the point in magic where you really want to be inspired, his books on history, his books on Chung-Ling Soo, Hiding the Elephant, he's written these history books, technically popular history books. It's super geek stuff, I know. But when you read about the stories of these magicians from 100 years ago, you learn a lot more about how magic really happens. You know, there's so much more to learn about how magic happens from those stories than from doing the tricks alone. I just feel like it's a real pleasure to share this magic with you. So if you like this magic, if you like this video, hit like, hit subscribe, hit share if you care. Come visit us, CC Club at Conjuror.community, where every month we host a different magic master for a new 2-part living room lecture. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.